when you're a crafter, you often end up with a lot of scrap wood from projects that you've completed and there's a little bit of extra wood left over. So I have these pieces and a whole lot of other pieces, but I'm going to show you guys today how to use this scrap wood to make some signs so that you're not wasting your scrap wood. So I've got these two pieces of scrap board here that are left over from another project. I'm gonna put my gloves on. I put these on just so I don't get stain on my hands. It's okay if you get stain on your hands, I just don't like it. So put my gloves on, and I've got my stain here. And you really want to make sure that you stir this up well so that you don't have any chunks of stain and that it stays the same color that you want it to be. I'm using a gray stain on this. A little different than I usually go with, but I like it for this style of sign that I'm going to be making. So stir that up real good, and then you can just use any kind of paint stick. And then I've got my rag here that I'm going to be using to put my stain on and put it onto my board. And I just put a little bit of stain at the end of the rag there, and then I'm going to go up and down on my whole board, front and back, and get all the edges just to make sure that I get all the stain that I want. Once I've got the stain on, I lay it to dry a little bit, and I like to lay it kind of propped up just so that it's not right against the paper. It just gives a better look so that the stain doesn't leave all sorts of splotches all over it. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the stain on my second board here. I'm going to let those dry probably for at least 30 minutes up to maybe an hour. Just make sure it's pretty good and dry, won't get back on my fingers. And we're going to make our design here in Cricut design space. So I'm just going with a simple phrase here, wash, rinse, repeat. And I'm just going to size it down to about the size of my board. I want this to go mostly all the way across the board. And then I'm going to print this on some white vinyl once I've gotten it down to the sizing that I want. And just kind of messing around with the size here, make sure it's right how I want so that it's going to look nice positioned in the center of that board there. And that looks about what I want it to be, maybe a little bit bigger here. But you kind of play around with this. Sometimes it takes a little bit to figure out exactly what you want it to look like. But that looks pretty good. So now that I've done that, I'm going to attach it. This just makes sure that it prints the way that you want it to and doesn't print all on top of each other. So I've done that, and now I can go ahead and cut this out with my Cricut. On this one, I am going to be using permanent white vinyl for this. So I'm going to check my settings. They all look fine. I don't want to mirror this one. And then we're going to come over here. Really important to choose vinyl as your material to get the right pressure settings. And it looks like I'm going to be good to go after that. So I'll just put the mat into my Cricut machine and we'll get started and get cutting here. Now that that's printed, we need to pull off the excess vinyl that won't be used for our letters. This is a little different from how we do if we're making a stencil, because I want to leave the letters and pull off the surrounding areas, as opposed to if I'm making a stencil and I want to actually just pull off the letters themselves. That one letter right there just came off with my wrapping, but I was able to get it back on. And now I just need to weed out the centers of like the A's and the E's and that P there, and we'll get that off. Ready to put the transfer tape. And I like to do the taco method of this. Just fold it in half and put it right from the middle. and it goes on super clean. Use your scraper tool over the top. And then we're ready to pull the backing off. You want to go slow here, make sure that your letters don't come up with the paper. I've got my Cricut tool here just in case they do. I'm ready for it. But this is actually going really well, and they're all sticking to that transfer tape how I need them to. Awesome, look at that. Alright, so we can apply our lettering to our board. And I'm just going to try to make sure that it's centered pretty evenly there. I want to check the top to bottom centering as well as the left to right centering. And then I'm just going to push it down and go over it one more time with my scraper tool. Now we can pull this off. Awesome. Alright, yeah, there we go. Came out pretty good. If you enjoyed this tutorial, leave us a comment down below. Don't forget to like and share this video, and subscribe to the channel for more crafting tips and tricks. Thanks so much for watching Deb's Joyful Designs.